Hey, Melissa, thank you so much for your post and for your examples. One thing I want to mention is that you will find it will be much more expeditious if you place your images in line, embed them right in your body copy here. I think that it's a lot easier for students to take a look at it. They don't have to link out. And I'll go as far as saying that posts that have images embedded probably receive more activity in terms of feedback from your classmates. So I think it's really a great idea. It's really super easy to do too. Let me show you real quick what you do. Just save your image to your desktop. I'm going to come down here and I'm just going to hit this reply to your post. And what you do is just once you place your image that you want to use on your desktop, just come right over here, place your cursor where you want the image to be, come right over here, click that image, and then you can navigate or drag and drop, which is great way to do it is drag and drop. But just navigate to your image and then you can just go right ahead and that will place it in line with your body copy. Let me cancel out of that. And I think that's a fantastic way to go. Let's jump back to your post. Now, one thing I want to address in your post is this. I want to look at this image. Now, this is a small, tiny little image, which I'm going to zoom in, but it's going to pixelate. So there's resolution involved here, but just ignore that. I want to talk about this image, specifically the fact that this is what would be considered to be a flat image. What do I mean by that? I mean, there's no use of gradient. Actually, I take that back. It's hard to tell, and I've seen this image before, and I know I was particularly impressed. That's why I want to address what's happening here. I'm not real sure. It's really difficult because of the poor quality of the image, if this is a gradient or not, this headband. Or if it's, we can see white shapes here. As they become more closely packed and more dense, it's like a half-tone dot. So you have these dots. You start with green, then you start introducing white dots, right? The closer and more dense the white dots become, until they're actually overlapping and touching each other, where it turns to white. And that's a kind of a manual way to create a gradient. And it's really interesting when remaining a flat design without using gradients. And the reason I think this is such an interesting technique is the fact that you have these gradations, but they're all created with flat shapes. Okay, so for instance here, this highlight on the cheek starts with a shape of pure white, indicating a specular highlight or the reflection of light off of the subject's cheek, right? Then we come around another shape, and this shape is a little darker. Okay, and then we come in another shape, and this shape is even darker. So those subtle transitions from light to dark indicate this kind of depth and this shading that indicates depth and volume associated with this otherwise flat. And I use flat simply meaning that there are no gradients used. Now, and as I look at this, I'm not going to say no gradients because we're seeing a gradient here. Again, it's difficult to tell if that's just more densely packed shapes to change the color or if it's an actual gradient. And the reason I say that, of course, is the quality of the image is not as great as it could be in order to determine those things, especially when I open it up like that and it gets a little more pixelated. So the reason this is so interesting to me and the reason I want you to think about this technique is this, and it's actually has a lot to do with our next assignment, our third and final assignment for the class, which is not even going to spoil a surprise because it's such a great assignment. You think this common everyday household item, that the one we're working on now, is really a fascinating assignment. I've gotten a lot of emails from students saying, wow, this is great. It's a wonderful exercise in creativity and a wonderful exercise in employing and using different attributes of design to practice learning illustration. And the last one, that is the last project, again, is in the same vein. So I think you're going to enjoy it. Like I said, I'm not going to spoil the surprise. We'll introduce that project next week, but I want you to keep my comments in mind regarding this illustration as the comments and the stylistic approach of this illustration apply to your approach for the next assignment. Okay? If you have any questions, give me a holler, but think about it. Okay? Let me know your thoughts on that too. So in other words, let me know how you think the feel, the flavor, the general posture of this piece would change if these were actually not solid gradients, but actually gradients. So not a transitional definition of value based on shapes and the hues and values associated with those shapes. But if this were actually a gradient going from this color to this color, how would it change the feel of this illustration? And that's what I'd like you to address in your response post. All right, great job. Thank you very much.